everybody, Eric here from Retro Game Remix, and today I want to talk to you about the issue that I have with the new OLED Switch. Stay tuned. Okay, so I've had my Switch here for the last couple of weeks. I grabbed it on the day that it came out with Metroid Dread. I powered through Metroid Dread. I did a review. It was a great game. Go check that review out. And basically, I just wanted to give you my thoughts on the Switch after I've been having it for a couple of weeks, and I've been enjoying it and been playing it, handheld mode, docked mode. Is it worth the extra cost? So I'm going to work off of Australian dollars right now, okay, because that's where I live. So the new Nintendo Switch is $539 Australian. The base model is about $469 retail, okay? So that's a difference of about $70 or so. So maybe 50 US or 40 something US. I don't know the price difference in the US, but I mean, you can look it up in your respective country and figure it out and weigh up the options after you watch the video here. For $70, here's what we get. In my opinion, a way better built and more robust and more sturdy Nintendo Switch. And we'll start here with the kickstand, okay? So if you have the original Switch, you know that it had this little flimsy piece of plastic to support it if you're playing on tabletop mode for something like Snipper Clips. I don't know, when that game first came out. Okay, the Switch is obviously a two-player machine, and because it's portable and you have the Joy-Cons, that's a method in which you can play. I've never done it. I've never sat the Switch on a table and just taken the Joy-Cons off and played, or played it with the Pro Controller in my hand and had this on the table as a portable screen. I've never done it. All right, so if I'm going to play the Switch, it's either docked or handheld. Straight away, the build quality, again, is it's a lot more impressive. This is a lot more sturdy, and this is probably the most it's such a silly feature to point out, to have to say this kickstand is great, but it's honestly great. So if you're a tabletop player, this might be a new selling feature for you. Aside from that, the speaker holes are on the bottom of the screen, like on the bottom of the frame here, as opposed to actually being on the screen, which the original Switch had. I'll also say that it's made out of a different material. The frame is made out of a different material. It seems a little bit more sturdy, more robust, etc., as I said before. So for example, I had a lot of people tell me the fan vent at the top here, with the original Switch frame being made out of a cheaper, more flimsy plastic, is more prone to breaking. And of course, if there's an exposed area in your console, that's more chance for dust, dirt, and debris to get in there, slow the fan down, and of course, as a result, slow down your performance. We know that the Switch in handheld mode is not as good as docked mode. So for example, it's capped at 720p. So if there's any issues with the fan, it's going to overheat, etc. You know what I mean? It's all just a downhill thing from there. So this particular fan vent, something as simple as a fan vent, seems to be built with more thought in mind. I guess if we want to get into internal things here before we talk about the screen, it's got obviously the SD card thing here, but it has 64 gigabytes built-in storage as opposed to the 32 gig, which was in the original model. And of course, the main deal of the new Switch is more screen real estate. Okay, so what you get is an OLED screen as opposed to an LCD screen. What's the difference? So with LCD, your blacks tend to look gray and washed out, whereas OLED, in my opinion, and of course, if you look at everything else online, chances are you may be even watching this on an OLED phone if you have a new modern phone, like a new Samsung and an iPhone, etc. Colors are way more true, and I don't know, everything's a lot more believable. Okay, so the OLED screens, if something's black, it has the ability to turn those pixels off. Therefore, everything looks really black. It's just a smarter screen. Overall, look, in my opinion, having played this handheld mode a couple of times, over the last few weeks, it's a no-brainer why it's worth it to me, but it's not going to be worth it to everybody. If you're somebody who's coming from the Nintendo Switch Lite, not the Nintendo Lite Switch, this is worth it. And I'll tell you why, because it's got a bigger screen, it's got a more beautiful screen, you have the added ability to play in docked mode, which is going to be the best way to play. But if you're somebody who travels for work, if you're somebody who has family and friends over all the time, they're stealing the TV, you want to get immersed in your single player experience and somebody else is watching, I don't know, soap operas or something like that, this is a great way to sit on the couch and have a very immersive experience thanks to the OLED screen, the bigger screen real estate, and again, there's just the form factor. It has a little bit more weight in your hands. It feels a little bit more of a quality product as opposed to the original Switch. Now, let's get into actual hardware differences from the OLED Switch to the standard Switch. So the only hardware improvements are just the screen. There's really nothing different, and a lot of people were speculating for months prior, saying, is this going to be the Switch Pro coming out? I remember on my weekly show that I do with Wood from Beat 'em Ups, we had an episode where we speculated entirely about the new Switch Pro and rumors about GameStop and all that stuff. And of course, that never came to fruition. And this is what we got. It's not 4K ready. It's not the latest and greatest in terms of hardware. It's not this, it's not that. And really the only added benefit you have aside from the screen is an Ethernet port baked in the dock, which I think is great. And some games have now come out as being cloud accessible. For example, Kingdom Hearts right now is the only one that's been announced as being played via the cloud, which is going to be handy if you're playing wired. Obviously, wired connection is always going to be better than wireless. So that gives you the ability to play games like that with more stability as opposed to Wi-Fi. A lot of people have been upset about this, and I guess I don't know if it's Nintendo fanboys or tech consumers who want more for their dollar. Nintendo has never really been known as the company that gives you the latest and the greatest. They try to give you what's a fun experience in a great package, maybe done affordably as well. And I think that's kind of what Nintendo has done here and done it somewhat successfully. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I have an issue with the Switch, and the issue is really the price point versus what you get. I don't think that a unit like this is worth the extra $70 Australian in terms of comparison to the standard model. The reason why is, what Nintendo really should have done is dropped the price for the standard model and then had the OLED unit occupy that price point. So that way it would seem more worthwhile for people to buy the new Switch. And if people are on more of a tight budget, they can then spring for the standard Switch and not the light Switch or the Switch Lite. I don't know. It's so confusing with these titles. Honestly, it's ridiculous. So look, that being said, I think it's a great console. I've had a lot of fun with it. I'm going to continue enjoying it. I'm going to enjoy my time with it. I want to make sure that I get a screen protector to protect this screen, because obviously, when the Switch first came out, everybody was just throwing the thing in the dock and they were finding that the dock was scratching the screen. God forbid that happens to me on this particular model. Certainly don't want to have that happen, and I want to protect my investment here because this is going to be something I'm going to have for a while. I'm going to save my original Switch for my son when he grows up, so it's going to be sitting for a little while. The new OLED Switch, it's great. It's a great unit. It's not necessarily worth the extra price point if you already have a Switch. If you're coming from something like a standard Switch Lite to playing this predominantly in handheld, it's worth it. If you don't have a Switch at all, this is worth it. But it's kind of hard to justify the differences between the standard one and the new one, especially if you only play in docked. Look, that being said, leave a thought down below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the new OLED Switch. Have you picked one up? Are you eyeing one up? Are you not going to get one? Do you think Nintendo's ripping you off? Hey, if you want to continue the conversation after the streams and after the videos, I have a Discord available in the description, so I'd love to see you over there. We have a growing community of fantastic people. We have great and engaging conversation every day, every hour, honestly, so I'd love to see you guys over there. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you can be notified when my new video comes up, and of course chuck me a subscription there. I'm trying to grow the YouTube channel as best I can by adding reviews, retrospectives, and kind of these talking head videos alongside the music, which is always going to be the main focus with Retro Game Remix. So I'm going to catch my breath and shut up now, but leave a thought down below and I reply to every single comment. So we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks so much for watching.